Here's Dave Naylor, our NFL reporter, who is at the game at Acrisure Stadium. Dave, have you ever seen a game with so many critical mistakes and crucial moments?
You know, Jay, there's an expression sometimes that football games are lost as often as they are won, and that felt like the case tonight. And it was strange because for most of the game, this felt like an old school NFL game. Low scoring, few turnovers, a lot of run domination. Felt like one of those nights where maybe one mistake was going to make the difference. And then you get into the fourth quarter. I mean, Baltimore scores 2 touchdowns on completely blown coverages to Zay Flowers. Now, give the Ravens credit. Those 2 play calls came off of 3rd and 4 and 3rd and 1, and the Steelers are probably thinking they're just going to try and move the sticks, and they end up going deep. But those were both blown coverages. And then, of course, Calvin Austin, you know, the touchdown in Baltimore. Kyle Hamilton's not in the game. He's out from early in the second quarter, and, you know, they get burned on a play there. And then you go to the kicks. I mean, the numbers are amazing here because Chris Boswell was 40 for 40 in extra points through the course of the season. And then he misses his, and Tyler Loop, even though he's a rookie, I mean, he's 7 for 7 within the 40 to 50 yards over the course of the season. He misses his 44-yarder, and the Steelers walk into the playoffs. A really weird, it was a game that felt like it was about 3 different games. You know, the Baltimore controlling the first third of the game, the Steelers controlling the sort of middle third, and then the mistakes took over in the final third.
And then maybe lost in all this, Derrick Henry had an incredible first quarter, 100 yards in the first quarter. But let's talk about the role that the Steelers running backs played in this win.
Yeah, that really was the balance shift early on in this game, was that, you know, right from the very first play when Derrick Henry goes around the edge for a big gain, and, you know, it felt like it was going to be one of those nights for the Baltimore Ravens. But I tell you, if you look at what the Steelers got out of their running backs today, particularly Gainwell, I mean, they had Aaron Rodgers completed 31 passes tonight. 13 of them go to running backs. And, you know, I think one of the things they recognized early on was when they weren't able to get the run game going, and Rodgers had some trouble, you know, again, without DK Metcalf in the game. You know, I know Baltimore's secondary's had some issues, certainly did in the second half, but in the first half they played very well while Kyle Hamilton was still in the game, and it felt like the Steelers knew that if they were going to be able to move the ball, it wasn't necessarily going to be running it was going to be using short passes as sort of a replacement for the run. Break tackles, get into open space, and that was really, I mean, Kenneth Gainwell on the night was the hero in this game, catching the ball, running the ball, but really, that to me, the receivers really for Pittsburgh didn't play a big role in this game. Freiermuth makes some big catches, but it was really the running game and the throws to the running backs that were able to sort of loosen up that Baltimore defense.
And speaking of defense, I mean, Dave, when you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you think of the Baltimore Ravens, you think defenses. And how did each team's defense, in your opinion, dictate the way this game was played?
Well, as I say, early on, I think that's why Aaron Rodgers was, you know, going with the short passing game. Everything was in front of him. He didn't really complete anything deep at all until, you know, late in the third quarter, fourth quarter. In fact, for a good part of the game, the Steelers' longest play from scrimmage was an Aaron Rodgers run of 20 yards. But to me, the real story of this game was the Pittsburgh Steelers' defensive line. When Cameron Hayward, T.J. Watt, Derek Harmon, what they were able to do. I mean, right before Lamar Jackson hit that first big long touchdown to Zay Flowers, the 50-yarder, he was 5 of 10 for 67 yards. I mean, this is a guy, like, I know he's coming off an injury. I know this hasn't been the Lamar Jackson that we've seen in the past, but he was under duress. He had 11 yards rushing. So, you know, to me, it was, they had to sort of stay with the run game because every time Lamar was dropping back, you know, he was facing heat. And that, I think, really dictated the way, unless they got those blown coverages, you know, they weren't able to throw the ball at all. And I mentioned both of those were kind of set up with third and short situations to try to catch Pittsburgh off guard.
You mentioned Lamar. You know, he was terrific in the fourth quarter, but really struggled through a lot of this game. He struggled through a lot of the season. He's been injured through a lot of this season, and we've heard lots of rumors of discontent with his head coach. Do you feel like the result of this game sort of exacerbates the possibility that Lamar might be heading out of town?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of buzz about that, and you and Luke were just talking about some of the stuff that's been in the Baltimore media, and that just maybe it might be in everyone's interest for him to move on, and the questions about him getting through seasons healthy. Of course, he came back from this one in a back injury, but look, he didn't miss the kick, okay? The Ravens, 99 times out of 100 on that play, they're going to make that kick. They're going to go to the playoffs. But you can't say that Lamar Jackson showed up for this game. I mean, like I said, he was 5 of 10 for 67 yards, early in the fourth quarter. It was not the kind of game that you expected for a guy who has a reputation as not being a big game player. You can't really say he showed up in this one. His biggest throws were in busted coverage. He had a turnover. The Steelers didn't have one. And turnovers in these games have been the difference for him sometimes as well. He was getting passes knocked at the line of scrimmage. Not a great night overall for Lamar Jackson. I don't think it's going to make the debate over his future go away in Baltimore.
Dave Naylor, our NFL reporter at Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. Terrific job as always, my friend.